was 1986, and the air was crisp with the unmistakable chill of autumn. My friends and I, a band of curious and mischievous 8-year-olds, had set our sights on the prosperous neighborhood on the outskirts of town, lured by the promise of a bountiful harvest of sugary delights. Excited whispers of the extravagant treats bestowed by the wealthy residents had filled our imaginations, overshadowing the ominous rumors that had circulated about the area. Undeterred by the unsettling tales, we embarked on our clandestine expedition, navigating the dimly lit streets under the glow of flickering jack-o'-lanterns and the faint shimmer of the moon. The mansions loomed grandly before us, adorned with elaborate decorations that beckoned us with the allure of overflowing candy bowls and lavish Halloween displays. As anticipated, the opulent homes delivered on their promise, generously offering us a cornucopia of confectionery treasures, the kind that only the affluent could afford. Excitement surged through us as we indulged in the decadent sweets, the taste of victory sweetened by our successful plundering of the neighborhood's extravagant candy supply. With only a handful of houses left on our list, the clock struck midnight, and a distant, bone-chilling wail pierced the tranquility of the night. Intrigued by the mysterious commotion, we huddled together, curiosity overshadowing our sense of caution. Stealthily, we crept toward the source of the disturbance, the path leading us deeper into the surrounding woods that bordered the affluent properties. Crouched behind a thicket of shrubbery, we beheld a scene that would forever sear itself into our young minds. 3 shadowy figures, their faces obscured by sinister masks, loomed before a grand mansion nestled in the heart of the forest. The deafening crack of gunshots shattered the silence, sending shockwaves of fear coursing through our small frames. We watched in terror as the masked intruders ransacked the luxurious abode, their violent actions painting a grim tableau against the backdrop of opulence. Paralyzed by fear, we dared not make a sound, scarcely daring to draw breath as the perpetrators completed their heinous act and vanished into the night, leaving behind an indelible trail of chaos and devastation. Hours dragged by as we remained huddled in our hiding place, consumed by a chilling cocktail of fear and disbelief. It wasn't until the first light of dawn broke through the horizon that we dared to emerge from our sanctuary, our hearts heavy with the weight of the unspeakable tragedy we had borne witness to. A pact of silence hung between us as we made our way back to the safety of our respective homes, each burdened with the knowledge of the unspeakable horrors that had unfolded in the dead of night. We knew that the gruesome events were not something we could share with the world, for fear that the malevolent forces responsible for the carnage would seek us out, their masks concealing the darkness that resided within. In the following days, whispers of the ghastly incident spread like wildfire, the local newspapers carrying harrowing accounts of a wealthy family brutally robbed and mercilessly slain in their own home. A collective shiver ran down our spines as the realization dawned upon us that we had narrowly escaped the grasp of an unfathomable evil, one that lingered in the shadows, waiting to claim its next unsuspecting victims. The memory of that fateful Halloween night would forever haunt us, a grim reminder of the tenebrous underbelly that lurked beneath the veneer of prosperity and affluence. The Halloween night was cloaked in an eerie stillness as I found myself ensconced in the company of a few close friends. Only a day prior, we had embarked on a shopping spree to gather the necessary supplies for a night of revelry and merrymaking. Amidst the bustling crowds and festive displays, my attention had briefly been captured by a middle-aged man whose intense gaze seemed to linger on me with a disconcerting fervor. Dismissing it as a passing peculiarity, I brushed off the encounter, choosing to immerse myself in the anticipation of the upcoming night's festivities. As dusk settled, I found myself dining at a local restaurant, a faint sense of unease settling upon me as the same middle-aged man made another appearance, his features concealed beneath a different set of attire, yet his unwavering stare burning into my consciousness. A cold shiver traced its way down my spine, a whisper of apprehension taking root in the depths of my mind. Determined to shake off the disquieting sensation, I opted to take an alternate route back home, the tendrils of fear tightening around my chest as I navigated the labyrinthine streets, a sense of foreboding gnawing at the edges of my consciousness. The flickering streetlights cast elongated shadows that danced menacingly across the pavement, heightening the aura of tension that enveloped the night. As the evening progressed, my friends arrived, their laughter and camaraderie serving as a welcome distraction from the unsettling events that had transpired earlier. We whiled away the hours engrossed in animated conversations, engorging on an array of Halloween treats and indulging in a thrilling horror movie marathon that served to further enliven the festive atmosphere. Despite the joviality that permeated our gathering, the specter of the enigmatic stranger continued to haunt my thoughts, his presence an ominous shadow that loomed on the periphery of my consciousness. As the clock struck 11 p.m. and my friends bid their farewells, the first droplets of rain began to patter against the window panes, a mournful cadence that mirrored the disquietude that had settled within my soul. Alone in the quiet confines of my living room, the ambience punctuated by the intermittent peals of thunder and the incessant drumming of the rain, I was seized by a palpable sense of vulnerability. The plaintive howl of the wind outside was abruptly interrupted by the sound of footsteps, muffled and elusive, that seemed to draw inexorably closer to the sanctity of my home. I sprang to my feet, my heart hammering against my ribcage as I cautiously approached the window, my breath catching in my throat as I beheld a dark, indistinct figure looming ominously in the downpour. A surge of panic coursed through my veins, my trembling fingers fumbling to dial the emergency services, the rising tide of fear eclipsing any rational thought as I implored the authorities to swiftly intervene. As I awaited the arrival of the police, the silhouette at the window transformed into a haunting visage, distorted and contorted by the interplay of shadow and light. The sudden shrill ring of my doorbell shattered the stillness, the stranger's voice echoing through the woodwork, accusing me of pilfering something of great value from him. Relief flooded my senses as the wailing siren of a police car pierced the tempestuous night, the cacophony of footsteps and hushed voices serving as a harbinger of the much-needed respite that was to come. The enigmatic stranger was swiftly apprehended, his frantic ramblings betraying the delusions that had ensnared his mind, a revelation that left me trembling in the wake of a nightmarish encounter that had tested the bounds of my courage and fortitude. It was a chilly Halloween night, and the streets were filled with the laughter of trick-or-treaters and the distant echoes of spooky music. My younger brother and I, with costumes hastily thrown together, were thrilled to be part of the festivities. We had heard rumors of strange occurrences in our neighborhood, whispers of a spectral figure that roamed the streets, lurking in the shadows and demanding treats from unsuspecting residents. Despite our initial excitement, an undeniable sense of unease began to settle in as the night deepened. Our parents, entrusting us with the responsibility of staying home alone, left to attend a late-night gathering, while our older brother, wrapped up in his own social plans, had departed for a raucous Halloween party. The house seemed eerily quiet as my brother and I settled in, attempting to distract ourselves with sugary delights and a marathon of classic horror movies. As the clock struck 10, an unsettling realization dawned upon us. We had forgotten to lock the front door after returning from our own candy-seeking adventure earlier in the evening. We exchanged worried glances, our hearts racing with a newfound sense of vulnerability. Hastily, we scrambled to secure the entrance, double-checking every lock and latch to ensure our safety. Attempting to shake off the growing unease, we resumed our movie marathon, attempting to immerse ourselves in the fictional terrors unfolding on the screen. However, our feeble attempts at distraction were shattered by the distinct sound of muffled footsteps emanating from the upper floor. Frozen in place, we strained to listen, only to be met with an eerie silence that seemed to swallow the very air around us. Uneasy and trembling, we exchanged fearful glances, each confirming the reality of the chilling sounds we had just heard. Suddenly, a series of inexplicable and otherworldly noises began to resonate throughout the house, a haunting amalgamation of creaks, whispers, and faint, unidentifiable moans. The hair on the back of my neck stood on end, and my brother's eyes widened with terror as the oppressive atmosphere enveloped us, suffocating any remaining sense of security. With our hearts pounding in our chests, we wasted no time in fleeing from our home, seeking refuge at the nearest neighbor's house. Tears streaked down my brother's face as we frantically recounted the harrowing events that had unfolded in our absence. Our neighbor, a kind and understanding soul, immediately recognized the gravity of the situation and swiftly dialed the emergency services, summoning the authorities to investigate the inexplicable occurrences at our house. The arrival of the police brought a temporary sense of relief, but the indelible imprint of fear remained etched in our minds, haunting us long after the ordeal had ended. Nights spent alone were forever tainted with the ghostly echoes of that Halloween night, serving as a chilling reminder of the sinister forces that may linger just beyond the threshold of our perceived reality. Though time had passed, the specter of that fateful night continued to cast a shadow over our sense of security, leaving an enduring fear that clung to us like a malevolent spirit refusing to be exorcised.